If you have been impacted by suicide, if others have misunderstood your sexual orientation or expression, if you have been impacted by poverty,
you know, some of these things that were asked are like really intimate and vulnerable parts of us. And so when we start like digging into those things and bringing that stuff up, for some of us it's like having to, I think it just moves so quickly that like the moment where I was ready to step forward, or I was like, wait, does that apply to me? Like, has that, and like, where am I at? You know, and I'm kind of just like, there's this wrestling that goes on, you know, and it was really interesting the things that stirred up that kind of emotion and that caused you to kind of just stop. And like I think too, when you're sitting there and you're really feeling everything, that it jars you, especially if like you're not used to living in that space.
Right. Very, very. Thank you. What was your name?
Yeah.
The question that really, I don't know, the one that really got me, because this is a teaching conference, is how many people felt that their education matched their social activity. That one was pretty surprising. Barely
That's a tough one.
having the perspective that like they're carrying all of these other things that we're not seeing behind closed doors helps us, because like we're able to kind of make that personal connection to them too, right? We start thinking like, okay, maybe I should tie in such and such into my curriculum. Maybe I should have a discussion around this social trauma that just happened in the news, even though this is a math class, you know? Maybe I should facilitate a conversation with folk, or allow them to step outside with their friend because they really need to discuss something that's going on at home.
I wanted to add to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think the word professionalism, what you're talking about reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Professionalism is kind of a loaded term defined by white people. Like, what's professional in classroom?
Yeah.
When the emotions are considered unprofessional. So the work of doing the emotional stuff is considered a distraction from the academic progress.
Right.
Or just basically unprofessional, right?
Yeah.
And so I really love that you're affirming, like, no, we're human beings, we're co-constructing meaning. And so you have to address the emotions to make the academic progress.
The thing is, we're all humans and we're acting. So like, we're acting in a role as a teacher. Your teacherness is not your entire being. Their studentness is not their entire being. Right? So like when we're, as we're continuing this workshop today, keep building on what we just like laid the foundation for right now. Because you know what we're about to go into? The emotional shit. So let's practice. I go.
Amen.
I go. Oh.
Amen.
I go. What's your interpretation of what it is? Oh, it's a pin for like a map.
Yeah, that's all I'm thinking about.
Ah, interesting. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What else do we have? What were other interpretations?
Teardrop.
A teardrop? A raindrop?
Water drop.
A water drop? Just a drop? It's a drop like it's hot? It's raindrop, drop top?
Half of a heart.
Huh?
Half of a heart.
It's half of a heart? Your brain.
Hot air balloon.
It's a Google Map. Yeah, you guys are on the same. It's the green. You guys are like resonating like Google Map vibe. Drop the pin. That raindrop is going to represent all the social toxins that are falling from the sky. What are these institutionalized traumas that are continuing to be perpetuated? What's coming down on our body that we don't have control over, right? When you go outside, can you stop the rain? There's nothing falling, no matter what you do. You can block it from you. Listen, keep following. All right, so on your raindrop, I would like for you to work with your group and come up with different forms of social toxins.
Racism, institutionalized racism, sexism, xenophobia, bureaucracy, living up to expectations/stereotypes.
Sedentarism, food justice issues, racism, police brutality, gun violence, nationalism, American exceptionalism, anti-immigration, all the phobias.
Reproductive rights, physical and sexual abuse, propaganda, emotional abuse, dehumanization of self and others, exploitation, human trafficking, cheap labor, mental illness, cost of living.
Technology, colonialism, imperialism, environmental or ecological racism / injustice, erasure or invalidation of culture and narrative through Eurocentrism in curriculum, toxic masculinity, colorism, violence.
Which one stuck out to you? Popcorn. Trump, Hope Desert. On that, sorry, that theory of hope still. Sean Jenright. Anyone familiar?
He was keynote last year.
He was keynote last year, yeah. What's his workaround? Radical healing.
The boys and young men of color.
With young men of color. For those of you who are looking for like a follow-up, maybe like some more research after this, Sean Jenright's work is someone that I would highly suggest. Hope and Healing is his most recent book, but it's dealing a lot with trauma in youth of color and what we as educators and community leaders are able to do to provide space for that hope and healing. Stories about drugs? Yeah, absolutely. What stuck out with you particularly with it?
I'm just like over it.
Same thing with like the ganglands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People say, oh, I heard about Oakland.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what'd you learn from? Oh, I watched Gangland. I'm
That's what I get about Colombia all the time.
Yeah.
I watch Narcos. Don't even do cyber Narcos.
And then they have like spin-offs from that one, and they're more
Just keeps
popular
perpetuating
than that.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. You were gonna say something.
I was gonna say adultism isn't that we don't really think.
Yes, that one resonated with me also. A lot of times we don't give youth enough credit for like having as much like intelligence or experiential knowledge, because we think like, oh, we're adults and we earned this right to be bossy. But like think about like ourselves when we were younger. Like there's a lot of adult shit that we carry in our young bodies, right? A lot of people are taking care of family members, having to work jobs, having to provide health care for family members, right? Does anyone else like have anything to add to that about like us being adult bodied and walking into spaces
Well,
with
the thing
youth?
is, it has no cultural, no racial barrier.
Yeah.
Everybody on the planet has adultism
Right.
on them.
Yeah,
And it kind of sets you up for all the other isms.
yeah. How do we talk to little kids? Hey, big man. What's up, little guy?
Or sit in your seat, be quiet.
Yeah. Big boys behave. Big girls don't do that, right? We hear a lot of narrative around like what it means, what it means to be an adult, while simultaneously taking away their childhood innocence. Yeah, it doesn't have to. We don't have to retract something, redact something in order for them to build self-control over themselves. Yeah? Yeah. Does it come up in forms of panic attacks? Do you get muscle aches and cramps? Do you get severe headaches? Do you start engaging in alcohol or drugs to kind of cope? Do you find that you start to have suicidal thoughts? What are all the things that are results of these social traumas that are impacting our being?
Anxiety, depression.
Alcohol, fear, sadness, suicide, hopelessness, cutting, homelessness, self-hate, sexual, promiscuities, anxiety, suicide, headaches, being overwhelmed, blaming, trivializing, confusion, depression, aches.
Self-destructive behavior, addictive behavior, escapism, lashing out, burning out, denial, incarceration, perpetuation of oppression, PTSD, death and pain. And then we also thought that, through a healing process, we can move towards resistance, collective action, and organizing, solidarity, empathy, building a sense of community. And with that, comes emotional exhaustion. Right?
Yeah, right.
But ultimately, moving to a place of radical healing and hope and imagination and creativity for solutions.
Lack of time to reflect, insulation, disconnection, non-expression, closed-mindedness, self-hatred, and hatred for others.
What feelings are resonating with you after hearing all of this? Or thoughts? Huh?
Feeling drained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hearing it, right? I feel drained, yeah. Any other descriptors?
Maybe despair.
Despair.
But I kind of like what this, we've got some positive things that, when people get together and they fight and they,
It becomes motivation or something.
you forget that part.
That's a good point,
Yeah.
For some people, it can be a catalyst for change. It can be motivation to
Solidarity.
get another degree or advance themselves in one form or another as that's part of their healing process.
Yeah.
We're going to tie that into the last section, so remember that thought.
Okay.
When we think about our students coming into our classrooms and we're thinking about all the social toxins that are impacting their body, we also need to think about this is also what they're carrying with them as a result. And to be honest, this is also what we're fucking carrying in the classroom also, right? This is what's happening to our bodies. This is what we have a mask on for. This is what the students have a mask on for, and it's why there is conflict. It's why there is lack of concentration. It's why there's lack of enthusiasm or whatever it may be. Sometimes it's not about us as that adult or whatever, that pushback or non-compliant, whatever we want to say. Sometimes it's not about us. Sometimes it's all these other things that are piling on top of one another that the youth aren't necessarily given opportunity to process. What ideally would you want to set as a norm for providing a sense of healing, well-being, comfort, acknowledgement within this space?
I think, I understand that you're saying that we control our classrooms in a sense, right? But I think also too, recognizing that so much control has been taken away from our students, that they also need to feel that sense of control, that sense of ownership. And that so much of I think why our students end up fighting us so much is because they feel like that control has been taken away.
So what I want to challenge you on right there is what you just said is what I just asked for. What can you have power to put the power in their hands?
Right.
Right? So you have power to change that narrative and say, today, Jackson's going to facilitate class.
Yeah.
Right? You have power to say, this is a topic that we're going over for blah, blah, blah subject, but I want you to bring in your prior knowledge and teach the next chapter to your group.
Yeah.
Right? So that's putting the power in their hands. So what I'm going to do is take what you just said and add it. So it's youth voice.
Yeah.
But it's even just, you can get up from your seat and walk around the classroom. I mean, it's even that.
Something like interactive?
Yeah, like during this time, you can get up and walk around. You can have choice.
Not feeling like constrained?
Yeah, it's not just
Is there a better
intellectual.
word?
I think it's more classroom.
Like you have control of your body and what you want to do. Like,
And I acknowledge that you can control it without me having to like,
Freedom.
freedom, okay.
But
Body freedom?
I would totally would, but my administration would.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Huge trouble, like.
So what we wanna think about is like, what would work for you? Like, what do you have control over, right? So like, there are gonna be things first of all, we're working in an oppressive system, right?
Yeah.
That is what it is. You're not gonna get out of it. All you can do is try to change what you can change. You're going to have your hands tied behind your back for a lot of things. That doesn't mean that we don't have any control over anything, right? We do have some control over things. And sometimes it's as simple as like, I'm not gonna have my desk in these rows that are hierarchical or that are marginalized, because we all know like who's sitting in the back of the class, right? I'm gonna have my desk in small groups. I'm gonna have them working in pods. I'm going to have a pod facilitate a lesson. They'll have like each day of the week, right? I'm going to, instead of assign a piece of homework that has to do directly with the textbook and they have to write an essay, how about they write a rap? How about they go and record and like make a PSA video that they come and present to their class?
If you think of it in that way and just call it differentiation, there's many ways to do it, like based on their background, their likes, their intelligences, and all that stuff.
And sometimes they won't know that they have a certain level of intelligence in a certain area because they haven't been provided the opportunity to expand
Right,
on that knowledge.
which is-
We're doing the cross the line activity. We're saying, is our culture reflected in our curriculum? Not a lot of people step forward for that one. When you're putting students in a space where they're able to share their cultural value,
Right.
coming into a class and they're like, oh, you care about like why I think hip hop matters, right? That's my cultural value. I'm able to bring that to the classroom. Like they're gonna buy in sometimes too, right? It makes them feel safe. What are some other ways that we can help build a community commitment?
Just a lot of co-constructing of norms and rules
Co-constructing. There we go.
letting them challenge the structures
Yeah.
ongoing and being flexible to change your own protocols and practices.
Open
From
to
the
challenge
feedback.
and change. I like that.
Or, I mean, I teach 6th grade, so they're really into jobs, but giving them leadership opportunities within the classroom usually works the best for the kids who need it the most.
Right. Absolutely.
I wanted to say how a lot of times the students don't really know the teachers, and so even the teachers to come in, you know, may not be your class particularly, but a teacher from another class to come and share their story with the students as they're adults. And, you know, you want to hear these things beyond your parents, and you know, you're still in this learning environment, and teachers have been through some learning, and they can share some things with you, and it's like not so academic. It's like, I remember one time in 7th grade, teacher told us about his, he had an abortion with his girlfriend, and he like cried in the corner of the class. I was like, damn, you know what I mean? So like, hearing those stories, you know, teacher told us about how he's tried crack one time, like all this type of stuff. It was just like, oh shit, these are real human beings, not just someone that come to Mr. Such and Such.
Yeah.
Creates a different level of a different relationship.
It's the human aspect, right? Right.
How about that?
relevance too.
Relevance. Also put sociocultural relevance.
Yeah, do your
Yeah.
research.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that youth culture is crazy right now, and like it's shit that, you know, it's hard to keep up with, but just knowing one little thing I think is really helpful.
Yeah, I mean,
Ordering Teen Vogue.
Like, going back to that exercise, right, like, I didn't see myself.
Yeah.
I didn't see myself in the media, you know, and like, they're not gonna get that, unless you like ask them and like help create that with them. So like, picking authors, you know, picking sources that look at the real side of history, right, the truth, and like, even in math and science, like I'm getting into like social science and math credentials, and we have a lot about like critical pedagogy and math.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and thinking about like, there's like so many like women of color, like mathematicians and scientists that no one hears about ever. And so like bringing that into the classroom so that, you know, young people of color, young women of color can see themselves in that.
Talk with me after this session of some people to refer to you.
Yeah.
Is your hand up?
Yeah, I was gonna mention like maintaining high expectations
Yeah.
for students.
Yeah.
Instead of like perpetuating a like maintaining high
positive
expectations in order to create safe spaces for
Yeah.
students.
Maintain. You know, and add to that is like community accountability.
Yeah.
So like if like help coaching them to kind of like hold each other accountable and like check each other. Which is that you know, being
Peer
together.
feedback, positive reinforcement.